statute.
I'm now opening the bidding. Do I have an initial bid?
Yes, my name is...
It's auction day in the state capitol. The scheduled foreclosure of some of Austin's priciest pieces of real estate, all owned by one of Austin's most famous real estate developers, Nate Paul.
$11,750,000 right here.
More than $11 million being bid. That's big money. And among the bidders is a familiar face, despite the mask, to us here at Dolcefino Consulting. His name is Ali Choudhri. Why do you think so many people accuse you of frauds? Choudhry's facing a mountain of accusations of real estate fraud here in Houston, accused of owing millions to folks across town.
He always tell you a lie, promise you a law, and never make it happen.
Even the lawyer who helps Choudhry a lot is caught on tape critiquing the Houston real estate investor.
I think he's so slick, he can everybody.
Choudhry's latest trouble here at home, this failed condo project up in the Heights. Yet there he is, Houston's accused real estate racketeer with money to burn in Austin's frenzied real estate wars.
Going once, going twice, sold.
When the bidding was over, it looked like Choudhry had won. But now he's gone to court, claiming the auction guy, Houston attorney Mark Riley, was conspiring with another bidder to rig the result. It's the guy standing next to Choudhry, Will Hardeman, son of Austin car dealer Bryan Hardeman. If you buy a car in the state capitol, chances are you got it from a Hardeman car dealership. But that fight between Choudhry and Hardeman, it pales in comparison to the real estate war going on between Nate Paul and Hardeman.
We are tendering funds on you to full to pay the loan. You're not accepting it, right?
We're gonna
Yeah. So you're refusing to accept the funds, right?
go around and go find you a court in this building to come and stop this.
Paul's company, World Class Property, had fallen behind on the payments on some of their biggest properties in Austin. And companies linked to Hardeman had swooped in to buy some of the debt. On video, you can clearly see Paul is trying to pay the debt off on the properties before the auction even starts, and the law says he can.
We've delivered funds to pay off the
Funds
loan
are
in full.
here, cashier's checks.
By redeeming the amount, the deed is ours.
But the lender helping Paul pay off those loans said in a sworn affidavit, quote, "In my 30 years of experience, I've never encountered a situation such as this." But the trustee holding the auction, he doesn't seem to care. We'll talk about him a little more later, but you can tell it got ugly.
Amount due, mother. We've tendered the amount due.
The real estate battles in Austin are making headlines across the state, and that nasty confrontation is captured from all kinds of angles. Everyone seems to want to document what happened for the courtroom.
Go around and go find you a court in this building to come and stop this.
Okay.
Why don't you try that?
Okay.
Wonder why Hardeman seems so confident of the result he'll get in a Travis County courtroom. This is the following month, June, protesters trying to shut the auction down. And yes, you heard right, they're chanting F you. The Austin American-Statesman reported that Paul's company, World Class Properties, had 9 properties foreclosed on that day. The largest portion, a $100 million property, the 3M campus. A California company called Carlin bought properties at that foreclosure supposedly worth, wait for it, $139 million. The July auction was even uglier. There's a photo of Ali Choudhri being escorted away by Travis County Sheriff's deputies. That auction fight over another Nate Paul property, the building that houses the famed Capitol Grill in Austin. No dispute Paul's World Class Property company had fallen behind on the loan payments. They owed less than $8 million on a property worth upwards of $25 million. But before you say too bad or it is what it is, look what Dolcefino Consulting has uncovered. On April 14th of 2020, Bryan Hardeman got U.S. taxpayers to bail his car dealerships out during the COVID crisis. A lot of car dealers did that. More than $41 billion of your money was handed out in loans across Texas to save jobs during the pandemic. But there was a catch. You had to promise you were getting the money to support ongoing operations. Government records show Mr. Hardeman needed a lot of your tax money to keep his folks working. More than $10 million in PPP loans. $3.7 million to Austin Infinity, $2.6 million to Continental Cars, $3.9 million to Continental Imports. On the very same day that Hardeman's companies got that government bailout, records of the Texas Secretary of State show a company was created, Colorado 3rd Street LLC. On paper, the company is owned by this guy, Justin Bain. 2 weeks later, that same company, Colorado 3rd Street, it bought one of the big loans owed by Paul's companies, Capital Grille. But where did Justin Bain get the money to pull the trigger? Records obtained by Dolcefino Consulting show the funding for Colorado 3rd Street LLC was provided by Austin Infinity and Continental Cars. Those are Bryan Hardeman's companies. We now know from those court documents that Hardeman's entities don't just fund Colorado 3rd Street, they own 80% of it, kicking in $7.6 million. That's a lot of money for car dealerships that said they needed a government bailout just 2 weeks before. Good thing money is fungible, right, IRS? The Capital Grille isn't the only Nate Paul property that Hardeman entities have foreclosed on. And in each and every one of those foreclosure sales, it's the same trustee, the guy you met earlier, Houston-based attorney Mark Riley, the guy you saw get into it with Nate Paul. I wonder if Paul's lawyers know what we do. Mark Riley has a history of alleged fraud. He was sued in 2004 for misusing trust funds of the family of a Houston multi-millionaire Robert Alpert. Riley was ordered to pay back more than $1 million. 8 years later, the debt still hasn't been paid in full. In that same lawsuit, we found that handwritten notes were discovered showing that Riley was developing an alleged embezzlement scheme for $10 million, and that he planned to steal some average Joe's identity, move abroad, and live off his stolen wealth.
$11,750,000 right here.
Well, that must not have happened because there's Mark Riley working in Austin, accused in ongoing lawsuits of fraud with Bryan Hardeman to stage the curious real estate foreclosures we've seen at the Travis County Courthouse. Those lawsuits, they also include Justin Bain, that Austin real estate broker whose company went after Nate Paul's Capital Grille building. And guess what? He's Mark Riley's nephew. What a small world. And when you look up Justin Bain's office address in Austin, look what else you find. Carlin, that California company looking to reimagine Austin. They don't just share the same cool view of Austin from the 2nd Street District, they share the same suite. What a coincidence. Last October, Nate Paul warned of a conspiracy to take his Austin real estate empire away. But few listened. Maybe Ali Choudhri is just the tip of the iceberg in the Texas real estate investigations to come.
It's a small